And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host, Adam. And tonight we are closing out December, book-ending December with a Christmas tale, Christmas movie that you may not recall. You might recall the movie, but maybe not that it's surrounded by Christmas themes. That movie is Batman Returns. Let's listen just for a moment. This is a magnificent score by the great Danny Elfman. And it encapsulates everything that is Batman. Now, the reason I chose Batman, honestly, for this last show of the year, the last movie show of the year, Real Talk, is because I thought, to be honest with you, I really didn't know what to do. I really did not know what movie to dive into. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought about doing maybe a Die Hard movie. I thought, also doing, we did Christmas Vacation already, and there were so many to choose from. Deck the Halls, Christmas with the Cranks, Gremlins, Eyes Wide Shut. So many movies to choose from, but I went with Batman Returns because it had been a while since I'd seen that, and I liked the world that Tim Burton painted for this particular Batman franchise. We'll get into that a little bit later into the show, but until we do that, please go to all of our social media pages. That's the Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People's Show. So let's get on with our show. So, in Batman Returns, it takes place a couple of years after the original Batman. Batman came out in 1989, Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, and Tim Burton, the director of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, was making his big budget debut. The big budget of the time being a $40 million movie. And at that time, Michael Keaton was primarily known as a comedic actor, being in movies like Mr. Mom, Gung Ho, and some of these early type films. So a lot of people weren't pleased when Michael Keaton was initially said he was going to be, the Bruce Wayne and Batman. Protests, letters were written to Warner Brothers, and a backlash began until the public saw the original Batman. Not the original from the 60s, but the 1989 Michael Keaton film. So spring forward a couple of years, and this is a standalone film, but it also acknowledges that the past film existed. There's a couple of callbacks to Vicky Vale, who was performed by Kim Basinger in the original. So in this Batman deals with a deformed man calling himself the Penguin, wreaking havoc across Gotham City with the help of a cruel businessman, Max Schreck. A female employee of the latter becomes Catwoman with her own vendetta in mind. So you've got two villains for the price of one, and that's a great benefit to this movie, because this movie features a great deal of the movie is centered around the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, and Catwoman, who is played by Michelle Pfeiffer. So we've got this directed by Tim Burton, and I mean, does he really need that much of an introduction? You've got Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Ed Wood, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes, Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Sweeney Todd, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows, Frankenweenie, Big Eyes, Miss Peregrine's Home for the Peculiar Children. That's always a hard word for me to say. Dumbo, and the upcoming Beetlejuice 2. Now, I've seen most of Tim Burton's movies, most of his filmography I have seen, and I was an early person that really did enjoy and embrace Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands. Batman as well. But when you go into a Tim Burton film, you can tell just by the gothic stylings, the colors, the imagination, the vividness, the oddities of it, flat out bizarre and weird, that it's a Tim Burton film. And that's one thing I really do enjoy about this and Tim Burton Batmans, as opposed just to, even the Michael Schumacher, Michael Schumacher films is Joel Schumacher. The late Joel Schumacher. With his two films as well, there's a very comic book, cartoonish element to it. However, with the Christopher Nolan Batman, it is more set in a realistic setting that looks like it is everyday Chicago or Pittsburgh. But with this Tim Burton style, it's almost a throwback in a way. Besides some of the cars, well, actually, the Batmobile and the gadgetry and computers and such, it's almost like it's transported you back into kind of a 50s style. The business, the hats, the everything like that. But also with, the gothic modern twist. And then you've got that Tim Burton touch that it paints a completely unique world where you could actually believe that these characters dress up as Batman. There's one called the Penguin, obviously, and then Catwoman. That's the only thing that's kind of, I know you have to suspend all disbelief when going into a movie for the most part, especially a Batman movie or a superhero movie, so to speak. But when you set the Batman in the real world, if you take a look at it from the outside looking in, it's silly. People dressing up as these vigilantes. But in the world that Tim Burton paints, you can believe that these things are possible. You can believe that these characters could, in fact, do this. And that it's not implausible. And that's a lot of the fun, I think, in these movies. So let's get in. I mean, Tim Burton has so many great movies. I don't know if I would say, and I'm sure there's people that dislike Tim Burton as much as there's people that dislike, Stanley Kubrick or, Edward Burns or Ridley Scott. Everyone has the people they love and the people that they hate. But I would have to say, I mean, as far as the Batmans go, this is a solid Batman. Not one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. And that would probably go to, either Pee-wee's Big Adventure or Edward Scissorhands. That would probably be one of my two top two, or even Ed Wood, top 2 or 3 Tim Burton films. But let's get into a few facts on the movie. We have Burgess Meredith, who played Mickey in the Rocky movies, also played the Penguin on the Batman show in 1966. And in the Batman movie, or it's called Batman the Movie, which was also 1966. He was asked to play the Penguin's father in the opening scene, but illness prevented him from doing that. So they asked the original Penguin that created on screen, TV screen, the character in the 60s, hey, would you want to be this and play the Penguin's father? He couldn't do it. So Tim Burton went back to the well of Paul Rubens. And Paul Rubens, if you remember, was going through a little bit of a scandal at the time with the theater and all that. But he got an uncredited role as the Penguin's father. So that is Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens, the late Paul Rubens, at the very, very beginning of the film. And it wasn't until later in life that I actually knew that. It wasn't probably, to be honest with you, it may have been the internet that made me actually realize that. Now looking back and watching it again, I can't not see that it's him. But the first couple of times that I'd seen it, which honestly had been maybe 2 or 3 times between when it came out and when I looked up anything Batman related on the internet, to be honest with you. But that's a cool little tidbit as well. At least 50% of the Warner Brothers studio lot was taken up with some Gotham City sets during production. If you've ever been out to the lots in California, the Warner Brothers lot is one of the biggest lots out there, and over half of it was just due to Batman Returns. So that was kind of a cool thing. Another fact kind of related to the Gotham City was that the massive Gotham City sets were constructed to be mobile and were often shifted away between days of filming. They were put back. So Michelle Pfeiffer routinely got lost on her way to filming each day just due to the fact that they were in different places. They were moved around from where they were before. So that's an interesting tidbit as well. Danny DeVito wasn't originally cast as the Penguin, but the role was written with him in mind. No other actor was in mind when the Penguin in Batman Returns was written. In all of the drafts, the screenwriters all had him in mind. And Danny DeVito was very hesitant to do a Batman movie to begin with, but he was advised by his friend Jack Nicholson. Jack was like, I made 60 mil from Batman, and you could make that much as well. So he made, that's how much Jack Nicholson made from Batman, 60 million. He was saying, Danny, you should play the Penguin. It's going to be a cool, creative thing that, that's only been done a few times at this point, but you're going to cash in and you're going to rake in the money. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much Danny DeVito did make from the movie, but I do know that Michael Keaton took home up front $11 million to reprise his role as Batman. And Warner Brothers didn't really want to pay him that. They did not really want to pay Michael Keaton that much money as Batman because they thought that anybody could play Batman, anybody could play the person behind the mask. It's getting someone to play Bruce Wayne. But it's you have to get someone that can do both successfully. And I think they did a good job in Michael Keaton as well. I don't really have any complaints. So, like I said, Michael Keaton was alleged to have earned $11 million reprising his role as Batman, but the Warner Brothers execs were very uneasy. Another thing that I didn't know until after rewatching it again is that Batman doesn't wear boots in the movie. They're Air Jordan 6s connected to an upper, which give the boot-like feeling. So in the movie Batman Returns, there's a connection to Michael Jordan himself that he's wearing the Air Jordan 6s. So Batman believes in Just Do It, Nike, and Michael Jordan. So especially at the peak of, I guess the peak of Batman mania was probably in 1989 as far as the peak of everything, but it was just re-excited, reimagined over and over and over again and again. So the budget of Batman, well, not Batman, but Batman Returns, is $80 million. So the budget doubled. It was $40 million in the first one, $80 million in the second. So it doubled. But you can see that all on screen, because if you go back and you really watch the first Batman with Michael Keaton, it's more of a drama. Batman is not in the movie very long, maybe 20 minutes. And I did look up the other day, and I wish I'd written it down, but Batman is not in the Batman movies all that much. All the way like 12%, all the way to 22%. So none of the films is Batman really in it all that much. But on that $80 million budget, the movie made around $266 million, which is a great, significant amount. But there was some pushback. And this was somewhat some of the reason that there wasn't the third movie that directed by Tim Burton and had Michael Keaton, is that a lot of the sponsors, like McDonald's, objected to various grotesque and violent scenes that were in Batman Returns. There's a point where Christopher Walken is trying to get Oswald to come down. So Max Schreck, Christopher Walken, is they're proposing that Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, is going to run for mayor of the city. So he's coaxing him down this flight of stairs, and then he's eating a raw piece of fish. And then he bites this guy in the nose. And then this Batman is a little more violent than the Batman of 1989. There's a couple of times where Batman throws like a bomb and it blows someone up. He turns the Batmobile around, and as he pulls out, fire shoots out from the exhaust, catches one of the Triangle Gang on fire. So McDonald's really did object to a lot of the things that were in this film because they're trying to sell Happy Meals. And at the end of the movie, there's like some green glue, not gloop, but green ooze, blood, and things like that. So it's not really a pleasant, and it's really a dark movie. It's not really a pleasant experience as far as like trying to sell Happy Meals and kids meals. So, that's a little bit about Warner Brothers was hoping for another $400 million worldwide gross, and it made 266. More than doubled, but still not exactly what Warner Brothers was hoping. Rotten Tomatoes was 81% positive, 73% positive on audience score, and IMDb is at a 7.1. So let's get into a little bit of the plot of Batman Returns. So Batman comes in fighting, and he's fighting the I think it's called like the Triangle Circus Gang or something like that. And well, let me back up. So as a youngster, Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, father, Penguin's father, he's born deformed. He's born with these deformed hands and features, Penguin-like features. So they put him in a little basket, toss him over the bridge in winter, and you are following Penguin in a little basket down this small little creek as the opening credits of Batman Returns begins to play. Now, I do think almost every scene except maybe one in this film is at nighttime. And it's a very dark and gloomy atmosphere, but just what you would expect. You go on my Facebook page or the other people's Facebook page and look up Batman Returns poster. and it's a dark bluish, black, white, pale white oriented poster. And that's exactly what the color palette of this movie is as well. Now, had there been another Catwoman spinoff with Michelle Pfeiffer, it was going to be starkly just black and white, in that glossy kind of black and white that only Tim Burton can really pull off. So, in this film, there are two villains. I guess you could say Maxwell Shrek is a third villain. And he's kind of a, like a crooked businessman. He's dumping like toxic waste into the sewer, but the public loves and adores him. But behind closed doors, he makes shady business deals and is only out for power and money. So he ends up pushing Selena Kyle out a window because she has come across some faxes or some files, some information that would implicate him in doing some shady business dealings. She doesn't die, however. She goes back to her place, her home or apartment, and she starts transforming herself from this mild, meek, bespectacled secretary who's all buttoned up and closed down to this now overtly full of confidence, sexuality, isn't afraid to go out and get what she wants. And that she's Selena, who has transformed her alter ego into Catwoman. So it's really, to be honest with you, going back and watching it, it's really, to begin with, there's not really a real reason that Catwoman would initially be against Batman. He did happen to punch and hit her the night before, but she was there when everything was exploding. She caused an explosion in a store, a huge explosion. So, but that's the only reason that she ever states that she wants Batman dead. Now, the Penguin wants Batman dead because Batman's onto him. He knows what Oswald Cobblepot is up to. So there's a couple of instances where the Triangle Gang, they're terrorizing Gotham City, which looks great, by the way, and Batman shows up, fights them, and so be it. So so that's basically the movie. You basically know this Batman movie. At one point, they try to, Catwoman and Oswald try to frame Batman for the murder of this, this actress who's going to do this tree lighting ceremony. So he's briefly framed, but he's only framed for maybe 10 minutes of the movie. It's not even a backlight. It's almost as soon as he's framed, the Penguin puts this little tracker or this little device on his Batmobile where he's able to control what he does. Batman can't control the car, but that's only a few minutes as well. So this whole scene, it adds a little bit to the suspense. In the grand scope of the movie, it doesn't really do anything to move it forward other than give you another chase scene and another fight scene, which looks great. So in the last act of the movie is when it comes down into the Penguin's lair, is when I find the movie to kind of drag. You get a lot of talking, which is fine. That's fine to have a lot of talking. But you get once again down there that after the battle between Batman and the Penguin, the little penguins drag Penguin's body down into the water and drag him away. There's a little battle there. Selena Kyle is there as Catwoman. Bruce Wayne as Batman rips off his mask, shows that he's Batman, and I don't want to give away the entire ending, although it came out how many years ago? 31 years ago, something like that. But I do think it's a movie that you should go watch, but I do think the last act of the movie drags the movie down a little bit because I think it stops it in just one spot. Whereas the rest of the movie takes place, there's a few scenes at Bruce Manor or Wayne Manor, a couple scenes in Gotham City, and there's some in the Bat Cave, so it's spread out a little bit. But this one scene at the very end of the movie is kind of compacted into this one underground layer of the Penguin. He's no longer Oswald. He's been found out that he's only using the people to get what he wants. He calls them scum, rats, everything like that. They start throwing fruit. And I'm always wondering, is it because you're outside at like a fruit stand that you have been able to have these fruits and vegetables at your disposal just to pick them up and throw them? I mean, I've always wondered. I've never been 100% sure, but I have always wondered that just a little bit. Another thing is that, I think when it goes from out there, like I said, down into just the sewer, it loses traction just a little bit. That's just me. The characters, I mean, everyone knows the characters. We've got Batman, Bruce Wayne, played by Michael Keaton. He does a fantastic job. He doesn't really get to be Bruce Wayne in that many scenes. I meant to actually write down how many scenes he was actually Bruce Wayne as opposed to Batman. And there's, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of screen time. But there's a lot of time devoted toward the Penguin and Catwoman. And I think it just benefits the movie. Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman did a fantastic job. She actually learned how to use that whip whoosh, that she uses in the movie, and she still has one of the whips to this very day. Although she did say that the latex outfit that she wears was extremely uncomfortable, and when she would never want to wear that again. So it must have been very, very uncomfortable. Danny DeVito as the Penguin, like I said, no one else was in mind to play the part. They had no one else. And who else would you get at that time? You're in the early 90s. Who would you get to play the Penguin? I don't even know who was up and running. No one, I think. I think it was offered to him and him alone. And I bet the same thing with twins. And Christopher Walken does a great job as the character, and he almost, a lot of people now might see Christopher Walken as maybe a caricature of himself. But at this time, he wasn't. Obviously, there wasn't memes and things like that. But he wasn't a meme person yet. He grew into be that over the years. And although he does have this wild hair, this wild white hair, and he is Christopher Walken, he's doing more of an acting job than playing the Christopher Walken character that we've come to know over the years. And other than that, there's not really a lot of outside characters. Alfred, you've got Max's son Chip, and you've got a few little side characters, but there's not that many. The cast is not that big as far as like speaking cast. There's not a whole lot of speaking parts and characters in the film, to be honest. You have the occasional paper boy or things like that, or the side character that says one or two lines, but nothing much. I'm trying to think. We've got favorite scenes. I mean, I guess it would be when Catwoman, when Selena Kyle is first pushed out the window, and she goes back to her place and she starts concocting the cat Catwoman outfit. And then when she displays that, and then Batman sees her and the Penguin after the explosion at the same time. And that's when he's like, whoa, I've got two people here to fight. So that's pretty cool. And I think everything of Gotham City, especially at night, some of the camera work as well, and the color palette all looks fantastic. My least favorite scene, like I said, I do think the last third of the movie is slowed down. I don't think there was really that much. I mean, Penguin and Catwoman, they're good villains, yes. But there was really no one for Batman to battle with to make it like an epic ending. And I think that's partially why it's kind of forgotten in a way. Because the whole movie is a really good movie, and then you've got this ending that's not horrible, but it's not on par with the rest. So when people walk out of the theater or watch it, that's the lasting taste that they have in their mouth. And it's not, all of the movie together. It's just that lasting taste, that bitter taste when you wanted sweet. But my least favorite, I would just say those scenes at the end. There's really no reason for Batman to rip off his mask. That's the problems with a lot of the superheroes with masks. They want to take them off for their loved ones. Why do you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? For one, that's another person that knows the other girl isn't dead, so you're going to risk the secret with another? And then what if Max makes it out alive? He's another one. You're going to kill him? Be a little bit smarter. Score and the music, I mean, it's the same as it is with most other Batmans. It's great. If you know it, you know. Listen to a little bit of it. I mean, it's a great score. It is something that I think that, if you've heard a Batman score before, you've heard this one. And Danny Elfman always does a great job with these, and this is no exception. So it's an enjoyable. This is the cemetery part that we're listening to right now. Originality, I mean, it's a Batman movie, and it was, I guess, technically the third Batman movie, the second in the Tim Burton, second and final, and I think it's a strong movie, especially at the time and what came to follow as far as superhero movies went and go. I think it's a job well done. The poster, like I mentioned earlier, the poster to Batman Returns is a gothic style. It's very cold, blue, black, white. And it gives you like that cold, chilling feeling. As does the movie itself. It takes place in the winter. There's snow. People were wrapped in clothes, scarves, hats, coats. So it's kind of like almost icy, a little bit, to be honest. Just about a little bit icy. Would I recommend Batman Returns? Yes or no? That really all depends on if you like the Batman movies. If you like them, is there some that you like more than others? Like, do you like Michael Keaton but not Val Kilmer? Do you like, Christian Bale but hate George Clooney? Do you like Ben Affleck but not like Michael Keaton? It all is taste and perspective. I can watch Batman forever and it's enjoyable. It's nothing great. It's not anything that I would, vouch for as far as being a great piece of cinema, but it's fun. It's cartoony. This movie is dark. It's brooding. It's not a bad film, but like I've mentioned a couple of times, the ending is a little bit disconnected than the rest. Sure, Catwoman and Batman have this connection. They've met a few times. They have this chemistry together. Villain good, but still this raw energy connected. They're both dressed up. So they're both dressed up in black latex and leather. So that says something as well. And they've went out on a date as their alter egos, Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne. So there's that. They both leave the dinner that they're having together and tells Alfred, tell the other one this, tell the other one that. So there's that. I'm going to say, if you like Batman, the Catwoman and the Penguin are worthy adversaries. Christopher Walken is as well. And I'm glad that they excluded the addition of any kind of Robin character, because that would have been way too crowded and very unnecessary. I don't think there was really any need to introduce a Robin character into the franchise in the first place. That being said, I'd say you go into Batman Returns, if never seeing it. You don't even have to watch the first Batman. This is one, it's a standalone film. You can walk right in, you can sit down, you can watch it. And I think it would be, because I do remember watching it on the big screen, and it was a massive movie screen. And I think that did benefit as well. So I have some good sound system, sit in the dark, watch it, and enjoy. It's going to be enjoyed more in the dark just because it's a dark movie and you don't want to sit with a bunch of lights while watching a nighttime movie on the screen. At least I don't anyway. But yeah, I would recommend it. Go watch it. Give it a try. It's not going to be hated. It's not going to be the most memorable Batman as far as anything Batman does himself. And it's not going to be a very personal Batman. You don't get to spend a lot of time with the man behind the mask. But it is a fun movie. It's very enjoyable. And it is a Christmas movie. And since we are in the Christmas spirit, that is why we decided to go with Batman Returns. So I think I'll have to go back and count for sure, but I think tonight was the 37th Real Talk episode of 2023. So thank you all for making this a pleasure for me to do. I enjoy movies. I enjoy talking about movies, and I enjoy watching movies that I've seen, revisit again, or have not even seen to begin with, like The Killer or A Silent Night, Deadly Night. Those two of the most recent ones like that. Any suggestions that you all have for movies in the upcoming new year, please do not hesitate to email me at the Other People's Show at Gmail, or you can go to the Other People's Show on any of the social medias. That's Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram. Also, please check out WLSDradio.com, and you can tune in to The Dark Place on WAXM.com on demand. Thank you all tonight, and I hope you all have a wonderful new year. We will be back in just a moment for another edition of The Other People's Show.